प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणं मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीं अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणी नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे तुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयप्रदीपः प्रपन्नपारिजाताय स्तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे। In this 198th class, we are going to pick up from where we left. Verse number 13 in chapter 9. As you are aware, Bhagavan Sri Krishna first criticized those utterly materialistic people who even looked down at Sri Krishna himself just because he was in human form. They were unable to see the divinity in him. That was the topic in earlier verses. But in the 13th verse, which we briefly touched in the last class, Bhagavan Sri Krishna describes those who are truly spiritually inclined, who are into spirituality in a big way. And such descriptions can be of great inspiration value to all of us. As Sri Shankaracharya connects us to this 13th verse, he writes a few words. Ye punaha shraddhadhanaha. While the earlier bunch of people lacked faith, lacked that receptive mind, now we will see those who have faith, who are receptive, who see higher possibilities in life. Ye punaha shraddhadhanaha. Bhagavad Bhakti Lakshane Moksha Marge Pravritta. That's what all of us wish to do. We want to get on to the path of liberation with all earnestness. And that path of liberation, as Shankaracharya says in this connecting sentence, that path is much to do with devotion to the Supreme Lord. Bhagavad Bhakti Lakshanaha Moksha Margaha. Therefore, the kind of people he is going to describe now in 2 verses is what we want to become. Let's see the 13th verse again. Mahatmanastu mam partha daivim prakritim ashritah bhajantyananya manasaha natva bhutadim avyayam. The moment we recognize the divine hand in all the affairs of this universe, the moment we appreciate there is God overseeing this creation, nothing happens without His willing it. Everything happens with His wanting it that way. Therefore, these Mahatmas, Who made them Mahatmas? How did they become Mahatmas? Moment they get that intuitive vision, moment thanks to their sadhanas, their tapas, thanks to the purer mind that they got, they are able to see. Earlier they were also egoistic. You and I come under so much stress in life. The primary cause of stress is this belief that we are doing and we are losing, we are winning, we are successful, we are a terrible failure. All this mental chatter, the noise in our mind is causing us sorrow. Imagine an actor in a play who is given the role of a comedian. Halfway through the play, if he begins to cry inside himself, why am I given the comedian's role? Why am I not the hero? Why am I not the heroine? And so on. Come on. The play has been set, you signed up and you are playing your role. The actor he is playing his role. The producers, the directors have laid out the whole plan. And this is not the first time you are playing that role. You have been into it. Why don't you see where you belong and joyously do the role given to you? Your role as a comedian is not your true nature. You are the actor. Likewise, when we get spiritual understanding, we will be able to see whatever we go through as part of the play, and we, as the actor behind, are neither losing nor winning. Mahatma, one becomes a Mahatma just by that higher understanding, which then percolates into all their thought, word, and deed. Hey Partha, O son of Pritha, these Mahatmas, good natured, spiritually oriented people, they go for that nature which is Daivi Prakriti. Their thought, word, and deed are of divine nature. And such people, bhajanti, they all the time in their heart adore God. Mam bhajanti, ananya manasa. Thanks to that maturity, thanks to that steady understanding in them, they do not have their mind running hither and thither. Anya manasaha means priority is constantly changing. The mind going for certain other things, typically of the world, becoming somebody in the world, earning more money, getting famous, enjoying new pleasures, or revisiting old pleasures again, falling back into the trap in which one was. All that is anya manasaha. Anya, other, manasaha, having their mind running towards. So having their mind running towards other things is anya manasaha, but here Sri Krishna is describing ananya manasaha, with their mind continuously inspired by God. And as they get along, as they get going, if they fail, it is all God's will. Who are they to complain? Then it becomes a stress buster. Constantly remembering God is the greatest stress buster in life. For once we surrender to God, we do not identify with those losses, those defeats, those debacles, those apparent humiliations. We don't identify with all of them. We go with the flow. Well, this had to happen today. It has happened. By God's will, let's get going. Natva bhutadim avyayam. These Mahatmas worship me, knowing me to be Bhuta Adi. Bhuta Shabda has one meaning, the five elements. The second meaning is all living beings. Knowing Bhagavan to be the source of all living beings. Knowing God alone to be the changeless truth. Everything else comes and goes. People are dying all the time around us, but we think we may not die. We think we will ever be here on the earth. As the pure self, yes, we do not die. But as this personality, this body, being described in this way, as we have an identity in this life, that is subject to death. Young people also die. People in their 40s and 50s die. But people in their 70s and 80s, imagine they may never die. So, what is all this? That is Brahma, that is Bhranti. Adi Shankara gives a short commentary on this. Mahatmanaha tu. Tu is to indicate the contrast. Earlier, Duratmanaha were described. Those Duratmas were into Asuri Prakriti or Rakshasi Prakriti, demonic estate, devilish tendencies, wicked, always violent. Though they do not have much knowledge, they think of themselves as having all the knowledge required. They are far from truth. Such people were described before, but now Mahatmana. Literally, the word Mahatma comes this way: Mahan Atma Yasya Saha, or Mahantaha Atmanaha Yesham Te. Those whose inner being is vast, is generous, is expansive. As Shankaracharya writes, Akshudra Chittaha. There are lots of people on this earth whose chitta, whose their mind, whose heart is kshudra, petty-minded. They always are bothered about small gains, small losses. If your eyes are all the time on small things, you become a small person, small man, a small lady, not by physical height, not by some other criteria such as general knowledge. By not knowing English or French, you do not become small. By not having traveled to many countries around, you do not become small. You become small even if you are occupying a high position. You become small if inside your mind you are always worried about small things. Small things attract you. A new movie comes to the theater near your house, you leave everything and rush there. A new restaurant opens, you think every day about when shall we go there, when shall we go there, and okay, this Saturday we are there. Day in and day out, you talk about people, you talk about pleasures, you talk about various things that are subject of gossip. That makes you Kshudra Chitta. But these Mahatmas are Akshudra Chitta. They are not petty-minded because that constant contemplation on God makes them go into a different category. Mam Ishwaram He Partha Daivim Prakritim. Daivim is Devanam Prakriti. We do not say Devas, the residents of heaven, elsewhere we call them Devatas. We don't say they are perfect in all respects. They too have some ego. But broadly speaking, their nature, their lifestyle are all quite good. They are divine. They are law-abiding people. Just as in a society today, we have many law-abiding people, but that doesn't make them spiritual. That they abide by the laws is good, therefore they do deserve certain respect and regard, but they have a long way to go before they get freed from stress and anxiety, fear, desire, etc. Abiding by the law, they all the same entertain number of petty desires. Then they have a long way to go. But here, these people have set their eyes on something great, something very significant. It is said, therefore, Daivim Devanam Prakritim. What is it like? Shama, Dama, Daya, Shraddha, Adi Lakshanam. It is marked by Lakshana means characteristics. Shama, Dama, Daya, Shraddha, Adi. Mental calmness. They have trained their mind to remain alert but not agitated, calm. By making our mind calm, we do not become inattentive or sleepy. When we are sleepy, also the mind is calm. But here, spiritual eminence is not about being tamasic or sleepy. Shama, manashanti. Dama, indriya nigraha. Well-known values. Daya, compassion for others. It's a blunder to imagine that spiritual people are interested just in their liberation. Slowly, they do not help anybody in the world. They don't come forward to relieve others of suffering. That is a wrong understanding. Daya, they have compassion. Don't expect them to accompany you to everything you do, pleasure pursuit, or some political fight. Don't expect them to take your side in what you are trying to do. But without joining you in anything and everything, where they can play a role, where they can help you spiritually advance, they are very much available. Do not equate their daya, compassion, with giving all encouragement to whatever you are doing. You are interested in buying more and more land, and don't expect a Mahatma to come with you to see all plots of land and advise you which one to buy. Like that, daya doesn't mean the Mahatma is with you in anything and everything you do. But when you get deceived in this example, you get deceived in purchase of land, purchase of property, you are agitated, you feel how foolish you were, and so on. The Mahatmas can give you a new drishti. They can teach you exercises. They can tell you what you must do, how you should look at the situation. And that can be a great stress reliever. Then you find that whether you bought good piece of land or not, that was not important. This important thing happened. You started seeing life in a different way. Therefore, losses and other defeats cannot stress you now. So, want peace, want happiness, want harmony, you want to be forgiven and you want to forgive. It is these Dayalu Mahatmas who can empower you to do that, enable you to do that. Shankaracharya also writes Shraddha. Lots and lots of things in spirituality are not possible to prove through mere logic. You need certain faith. You have an intuitive grasp. To have faith doesn't mean you believe anything said anywhere. Just because something is said in Sanskrit, don't take it to be a real spiritual instruction. So when really good, value-based teachings come your way, you accept them. Opening both your arms, you accept them. That is Shraddha. So, Shama, Dama, Daya, Shraddha, etc. are examples of this divine nature, and Mahatmas stay in that divine nature. Bhajanti, Sevante, they worship, they adore, they offer various services to the Lord. Puja, Japa, Chintana, etc. Ananya Manasaha, Ananya Chitta, their mind not going anywhere else. Natva Bhutadim, as we said, Bhuta can mean Akash and other elements. Vyadadinam, and Shankaracharya himself adds Praninamcha, that is, living beings. The word Bhuta can mean in some contexts 5 elements: space, air, fire, water, and earth. Some other place it can mean all living beings. Human beings, animals, plants, birds, residents of heaven and other lokas, all of them are Jiva. Therefore, Bhuta can mean Jivatma. So one shloka itself gives us such inspiration to make our life God-minded. Now comes the 14th verse, which even is more beautiful, adds greater charm. We read the 14th, Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha dridhavrataha namasyantascha mam bhaktya nityayukta upasate. Satatam means constantly, all the time, without a break. Satatam kirtayantaha. They are never never tired of praising God because they actually experience divine grace. They know how foolish they were at one time, and they know how their life is transformed. And the key to that transformation is understanding and then surrendering to God. Satatam kirtayantaha mam, me. Yatantascha dridhavrataha. And they are all the time on the path of self-effort. Dridhavrataha. They are also very firm in their decisions, in their resolves, in something that they want to do every day. Once they decide, they are able to overcome any inner resistance, any laziness that comes in them. They are not lazy. In the disguise of spirituality, they do not while away their time. They are as active as people of the world. Namasyantascha mam bhaktya. With all devotion, these Mahatmas salute me again and again. Nityayukta upasate. So they are ever united, ever connected to the goal of their life, the goal they have set for themselves. Upasate. Upasate is plural because he is talking of a whole category of people. The singular of upasate is upaste. Upaste. This is upasate. Aste is singular, asate is plural. So upa plus asate is upasate. Again, the commentary is short by Sri Shankaracharya. Katham, how is it that these people are better united with me? Satatam sarvada bhagavantam brahma swarupam mam kirtayata. All the time they are praising me. God doesn't get anything by people praising him. People praising God get their mind purified. Their life comes back on track. Therefore, this kirtayantaha, It's not Bhagavan's wish that more and more people should praise him. He is not looking for praise, but he is telling you secret. That is something that throws light on how things work. Our favorite example is fire doesn't get anything if you get close to fire on a wintry, cold night. But fire may say, if the fire were to speak, those who come near me will be blessed with warmth. It's not begging anybody to come near. But God doesn't need us. We who need Him. Mam Hridayesham or Hridayeshayam, who is resident. Shaya is residing. Someplace it may mean lying down. Someplace Shaya, Shayanaha, sleeping. To have Lord Krishna as a little child sleeping on a leaf, a banyan leaf. So the Krishnashtakam says, Kararavindena padaravindam mukharavinde viniveshayantam vatasya patrasya pute shayanam balam mukundam manasa smara. Child Krishna shayanam, sleeping or resting on vatasya patrasya pute, on a banyan leaf. So shayana, here shaya, the word is hridaye shayam. He is relaxing, he is happily seated. He is in the heart of these Mahatmas. And they know it. And applying their mind to God who is in their heart, they become free of all anxiety. They become free of all fear. Bhaktya, bhaktya upasate, nitya yuktaha santaha sevante. They are nitya yukta. It is not, as they say, once in a fortnight that they do some bhajan kirtan. They are into bhajan kirtan all the time, though outwardly sometimes you may see them doing some work which is their duty. They may be serving the poor, they may be helping somebody in need, they may be doing even some physical exercise, going for a walk, doing some yogasana. They may be getting their house repaired. They need something in the house. They may go to market and get those things. They also do a lot of things which worldly people do. But in and through all those activities, their attention is primarily on God. Hridaye Shayam. Hridaye Stitam Ishwaram Upaste Sevate. Now comes an interesting statement by Bhagavan Sri Krishna. The next verse, he says, this upasana, this adoration of God can be of many kinds, depending on the maturity level of the upasaka. Te kena kena prakarena upasate iti. Kena kena prakarena. By what kind of approach do they conduct this upasana, this adoration, this worship? So the 15th verse goes, Nana yajnena chapyanye yajanto mamupasate ekatvena pruthatvena bahudha vishvato mukham. They worship me and I don't give importance to what they externally do. Do they ring a bell? Do they show arati? Do they offer food to God? So many aspects of puja can be thought of. Gita is a revolutionary work which makes people reconnect to spirituality in terms of the essentials. Ringing bell, performing a puja with Shodasha Upacharas, 16 forms of trying to serve and please God may be part of that puja. But without doing any of those also, one could be doing puja. How? Moment you stay in steady awareness of God's glory, that awareness, that understanding itself becomes a yajna. Itself becomes the fire ritual praised in the Vedas. Agni Mile Purohitam. That's how Rigveda starts. I worship God, Agni, Agni Devata. Purohitam, he is always in front. Puras means front, hitam means placed. I worship, I adore Agni Deva, who is the foremost. You may offer into the fire some ball of rice, let us say, or ghee, and you may say this should go to such and such God. The address written on the envelope is some God, but it is Agni who takes it and carries it. So you have Agni, fire. So in Jnana Yajna, there doesn't have to be physical, literal fire. Your understanding of God itself acts as the fire. And your spiritual ignorance is continuously burnt. Jnana yajnena cha api anye. Anye here means some. Some people, some among these thousands of upasakas go for steady understanding of God as the spiritual practice. That may be accompanied by external gestures. You go every Saturday to a certain temple and you celebrate festivals. We had Janmashtami, now we had Ganesh Chaturthi. So do these Mahatmas celebrate? They may, but they may not also. Don't judge them by some external narrow considerations. And then there are many others who, yes, they also worship God, but they are very particular to see God in just one form, ekatvena. Then there are some who welcome seeing God in numerous ways. Even the sun and moon are God's form. Parents are God. And then Buhudha, Vishwato Mukham. Some others say we don't have to visualize any particular form. Wherever our eyes go and whomever we see, that is God only for me. I see Krishna, I see Rama in a beggar also, in a rich man also, in a beautiful lady who got Miss Universe, or in somebody else who doesn't have an impressive personality, who is living a common man's life. In her also or in him also, you see God. Vishwato Mukham, as present everywhere. Vishwataha means everywhere, universally, across many continents even. Adi Shankaracharya, whom we call Bhagavan Bhashyakara, says, Jnana Yajnena, Jnanameva Yajnaha. Which Jnana is that? Of economics or of data science? Which subject? Sri Shankaracharya says, this Jnanam is Bhagavad Vishayam, related to God, His glory, His kindness. How? If He is with you, you don't need anything else at all. Whereas in the world, you have lots of things with you, but suppose your mind is not in God, with all that property, all that wealth, all those possessions, you feel poor. So Bhagavad Vishayam Yajnaha. He is going to elaborate soon. Tena dana yajnena yajantaha pujayantaha mam ishwaram chapi anyam upasanam parityajya upasate. So at that height where they see God everywhere, they don't have to do other worships. Worship of so many kinds of gods, so many kinds of celestial, divine figures, and so on. Nothing prevents them from worshipping other gods, but they are not likely to. Once in a while, for some strange reason, somebody who is so established in the Supreme Brahman all the time goes to a tiny temple near his house every day. He may do it. That doesn't come in the way of his abidance in the highest truth. Sri Shankaracharya writes, Tat jnanam ekatvena, that understanding may sometimes take the form ekameva param brahma. There is just one highest truth. Anywhere and everywhere, if someone is showing certain special power, special intelligence, special skills, special talent, it is all this one God, ekatvena, who is expressing through them. Ekameva param brahma iti paramartha darshanena yajajantaha upasate. Paramartha darshana, seeing that supreme parama artha. Artha means thing, artha means some item, some object. Paramartha, paramaha artha, paramartha. Yajantaha upasate. Kechittu, then there are others whose pura sanskaras may be different, whose sadhana might be not as much as the first category. They look at who is God. Sun is God, Aditya. Chandra, the moon is God. Aditya Chandradi Vedena Saeva Bhagavan Vishnu Upastita iti upasate. They know, in a sense they know, but still they are not able to lift their mind to that all-inclusive God form, Vishnu. Even though they know all this by words, they have read, they have spoken, they have written articles, they might be talking about it also, but finally, where is your heart? Heart and head. Head may have many things, but heart may be in something else. Once Swami Chinmayananji was so pleased with his devotees in Bengaluru, what we have been calling Bangalore. And I wasn't present. I came to Bangalore in those years a little later. But when I came and joined the group of workers in Bengaluru, I became a secretary also of the mission in Bengaluru between, I guess, 86 to 88 or so. But with people, there was one H. Pradeep, and then there was one Krishnamurti, and there was one other wonderful, wonderful gentleman. They all had served a lot. He was working as officer in LIC. I can get his name. They deserve a mention because I derived much guidance, much inspiration from them. KGB Gupta. These three were like Trimurtis. KGB Gupta, H. Krishnamurti, H. Pradeep, and K. Krishnamurti. These three welcomed me. I had finished the Brahmachari course in Bombay, and rather than straight away becoming a Vedanta teacher, I got into running the show, running around to host Swamis, arrange their programs, attend meetings, and so on. So they said to me something which I can never forget. They said, Swamiji loves Bengaluru. Oh, really? What makes you say so? Don't you know, last time when Swami Chinmayananji was here, he said to a group of us, when I speak in Chennai, my head speaks. When I speak in your Bengaluru, or those days Bangalore, My heart speaks, he said. Swamiji actually loved everybody. Doesn't mean for him Chennai was best dear. Sometimes it is contextual or from a certain angle of view. Something about Bangaloreans maybe he liked so much more. And surely he would have loved certain things about Chennai people, about people in Delhi or Kanpur, Lucknow or Mumbai, everywhere. He loved all in a sense. So, also I must tell you frankly, Swamiji also had his, you know, his ways to boost the morale of people. I was present once at the breakfast once at some house in Bengaluru. Swamiji went and was taking idlis and took coffee. And we were blessed enough to either be at the same table or another table, or maybe with a plate and some breakfast on the plate, sit on a chair and hold the plate in hand and watching Swamiji. He suddenly said to the lady of the house, "Wow, what a wonderful coffee. Why don't you come with me to different places in the world? I want to drink such coffee everywhere." So, as though he cared for coffee so much, the right taste of coffee and so on. But he had a way to, you know, in a dharmic way, there may be a little exaggeration, doesn't matter, make people happy. So, a lot of people used to feel a special connect with him. They felt as though he liked them more than anybody else in the world. Anyway, heart, head and heart, all this came because of head and heart. I am saying this second category also know God, one God is everything. But somehow, because their head is filled with some philosophy, certain time they are praising Aditya, the sun, Chandra, the moon, and so on. And if you ask them, their heart is sometimes at certain other places, but head is filled with philosophy. You ask them, this Aditya, is it different from Bhagavan Vishnu? Then they speak from the head. Oh, no, no. Bhagavan Vishnu only is the sun. Bhagavan Vishnu only is the moon, they say. But next moment, they forget that one God everywhere. They do taratamya. That is, someone is higher, another is lower, and so on. In other words, the synchronization of head and heart is not easy. It's easier said than done. Therefore, you find even among learned people, they have so much of knowledge in their head, but their ways, their conduct is such, you find that they have some attachments, they have certain worldly weaknesses too. Anyway, Shankara's commentary proceeds. Kechit bahuda avastitaha sa eva bhagavan sarvato mukha vishwarupaha. The word used in the shloka is Vishwato Mukha, but in this version, which I am reading of Shankara Bhāshya, Sarvato Mukha is said. And therefore, in Tippana, footnote, Swami Sachidanandendra Saraswati says, well, probably Adi Shankaracharya, because the style of the Bhashya is not to leave out any word from the shloka. To mention the word from the shloka, then give explanation. But if you also have in your hand Shankara Bhashya, where it goes like this, Sa eva Bhagavan Sarvato Mukha Vishwarupaha. Where is the word Vishwato? Vishwato Mukha. Straight he goes to Sarvato Mukha. Apparently he has mentioned Sarvato Mukha and not Vishwato Mukha. So Swami Sachidanandendra Saraswati says, the original manuscript had Vishwato Mukha, then disciples made copies laboriously. They would write from one master copy. In those days were no printing, no Xerox, no scanning, no photos, right, by hand. So sometimes we call this Lekaka Pramada, an error on the part of those who made copies, they dropped the word Vishwato Mukham. The word Sarvato Mukha came. Vishwarupa. God is everywhere. So they have that understanding. Bahuda Bahu Prakarena Upasate. This way we have Sri Krishna acknowledging devotees of many kinds. Upasakas in this world are of many kinds. As he had said earlier in the 7th chapter, 4 kinds of devotees. Artho Jijnasurartharthi Nanisha Bharatarshava. Then he says, Udaraha Sarve Evate. All these are great beings. No matter how they approach me, how they look at me, I love all of them. They are wonderful. However, Nani, who knows God and he are not separate. They are one only, stands apart. In this way, these Gita classes can be a terrific spiritual education. A whole lot of new outlooks, new ways of seeing, new understanding come to us in the regular Gita Adhyayana. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hari Om.